Hey, this is Russ. Yeah, what am I doing inside? Well, it rained yesterday. Didn't rain today. Well, maybe a little drizzle here and there. But the ground looks a little too wet. I don't like to get my bikes all wet. So, yeah, it was a little gloomy out there. I said, forget it. We're staying indoors. So I was thinking about what am I going to talk about today since we're stuck inside. And I decided, let me look on the internet. Let me see what questions people have on the internet. Yeah, not questions from you guys, just general questions that we can find if we do like a Google search. Let's see what they have to say and to see if they're accurate in some of these things. So I have a computer set up directly in front of me here. So if you see me looking down, that's why. So let me see here. What is the future of e-bikes? Oh, there you go. Good question. And they say here, the e-bike market valued at $53.75 billion in 2022 is predicted to skyrocket to a staggering $112.73 billion by the year 2030. Oh, well, okay, that's a whiles off. That's like growing 9.7% every year. The terrain is divided into pedelecs, throttle-assisted bikes, and speed pedelecs. So I guess they're talking about people who pedal. Yeah. This was back in August of this year that came out. Let's see, what else did they say here? Are electric bikes going down in price? That's a good question, huh? All right, this answer comes from electrek.co back in, did they state a date here? Yeah, January of this year. He says, despite some small downward movement we've seen in the industry, reduced prices haven't become a larger trend. Most e-bike companies have either stayed stable or slowly walked their prices up, even as shipping prices have reduced. That doesn't sound good. Well, I will say this, even if the prices haven't come down, some of the bikes are giving you more for the money now. So I don't know if you would consider that, coming down in price. I guess the price is the same. You're just getting more for your money now. That's how I see it on some of the bike companies. What is the lifespan of an electric bike? All right, so this answer comes from May of this year. It says, usually e-bikes last roughly 10 years. How does he know that? But the year count can be low or high depending on several factors. Often you can consider replacing gears, tires, chains, brakes, etc., and may even replace the battery or motor for extended optimal performance. Okay, now that has a good merit. Obviously, we have certain things we have to change. Your tires will wear out. Let's talk about tires. I did change out the tires on my Rad Rover 5. That was my first original bike. What did I do? I'm going to guesstimate some time periods here. I think about... was it 1,500 miles, I think, something like that? I actually did a swapping of the tires from the front to the back. Most of the wear was on the back tire because that's where most of the weight is because you're sitting back there, and that's where the motor's running, right? So it's pushing you forward, so it's going to wear that rear tire out first. And I think it was around 1,500 miles I did a swap, so I just did a tire rotation. But after I put the rear tire to the front, I didn't feel like I was getting good traction for steering, so I replaced it all together with a whole totally brand new tire. So I had the front tire is now my rear tire, and then the new front tire is actually a brand new front tire. And then I think around 2,500 miles or so, I switched it and put the front tire, which was the new tire, put that into the rear, and then I replaced that original rear tire, which was originally the front tire. I put a brand new front tire on that. So I tend to give more life to the front tire than I do to the rear tire. So I kind of like switched out. So in a sense, the tires didn't have even tread on both, but they're not having even tread anyways. You're wearing out the back one faster, right? So that was my logic. And so my hope was after at 2,500 miles, the rear tire now has tires that are about the new rear tire would be the original new front tire. That had about 1,000 miles already on it, and then I had a brand new front tire again on the front, okay? So eventually when that rear tire starts to wear out again, then my hope was to move that front tire back to the rear and put another new front tire on. That's just my thought, but you don't have to do it that way. That's how I did it. Okay. All right. Are e-bikes selling well? Oh, that's a good question. Let's see here. And this says, electric bikes have made headlines for a dramatic leap in sales of the devices during the pandemic. However, they've also drawn notoriety for occasionally sparking deadly fires. The U.S. e-bike market grew 269% between 2019 and 2022, with 885.5 million in sales last year. That was in April of 2023 that they reported that. So, yeah, I would say they're doing well. As far as the deadly fires, it seems like most of this talk of the fires seems to always happen about the time when people are charging or they're using batteries that are not the original batteries, or they've modified the bike a little bit and they've done something they can have a deadly fire. So, but all the bikes get blamed then, of course, at that point. But really, if you think about it, considering how many bikes are sold, the amount of fires that happen really aren't that many in comparison to the amount of sales that happen. So where you should be careful of your batteries, as long as you're not messing with them and you're not buying batteries that nobody's ever heard of before, hopefully you should be safe. But still, maintain safety as you charge and everything. All right, who uses e-bikes the most? Okay, this is an answer back in October of 2022, so a little dated, a year ago. And it says 59% of Americans who own an e-bike are male, while 41% are female. But monthly riders are even more likely men. 10% of U.S. men to 4% of U.S. women ride monthly. A plurality. Where do they come up with these words? Of those who are between the ages of 18 to 44, 86%. In comparison to motorcycle owners, 67% are males and 33% are females. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's what it says. You give me words that I can't pronounce. Come on. What are the disadvantages of e-bikes? Ooh, okay, here's some of the disadvantages. This was as of September of 2022. E-bikes are overly priced. Okay, compared to a regular bike, maybe, yeah. Maintenance and repairs are costly. If you burn out a motor, it would be costly. If you need a new battery, it would be costly. But the rest of it, I think, is pretty much the same. I mean, if your brakes go or something like that, it's going to cost you the same as any other bike. Riding range remains low. Yeah, okay. Battery charge time is long. E-bikes are considerably heavier. Batteries are rather short in lifespan, and e-bikes tend to have low resale value. I don't know where this guy's getting some of this statistics that doesn't state how they got this, but that's what they say. Let's keep going. This is actually pretty good. It's got some different opinions here. How much should I spend on a good electric bike? All right, what would you guess before we read this question? All right, it says this is as of December of 2022 from REI. It says, for a good quality serviceable electric bike, starting price range can be $1,500 to $2,500 with options that go much higher. That I would agree. I would say for a decent bike, you're going to spend between $1,500 and $2,500 at least. Okay, the average price of the bike is about $2,000. Entry level e-bikes are about $1,000, and that's pretty much true. And there are more expensive bikes. I'm burping up the lunch here. Why are e-bikes still so expensive? And this answer came in, when did they have a time or date? Nope, it doesn't say. It says, since e-bikes are still considerably a relative new product, there are not many manufacturers that are producing them in bulk. Oh yeah, you know how many manufacturers there are? With fewer manufacturers, that means that they can command a higher price for their product simply because it is not easily accessible compared to regular bikes. I don't know if I agree with this one, okay? And I'm just going to go based on my own personal things where e-bike companies have contacted me asking if I would take on their bike. I have now turned down 92 e-bikes. And I'm just a single person, okay? A single reviewer. 92 e-bikes have been turned down. I have gone through 28 bikes, I think, something like that, 28. So you think about that, that's a lot of e-bike companies, okay? And, okay, some of them are from the same company, all right? Like, for instance, Magicycle, I have all the different Magicycle bikes, and some of them I have multiples of it. So, but still, I heard an estimate once that there was over 300 e-bike manufacturers, and that was an estimate that was like 2 years ago. So I think there's even more now, because it seems almost like every week I get a couple of companies who contact me asking me to consider reviewing their bike. So I don't think that answer is accurate, okay? All right. Is it bad to leave a bike plugged in all the time? My answer would be yeah, telling me it is. All right, here's what it says. Don't leave your e-bike plugged in all the time. Higher end charging systems will shut off completely once a battery is charged, but some systems will keep charging. As always, a good idea is to unplug the charger from a full battery. I agree with that. Yeah, that was REI answering that back in December of 2022. Yeah, don't leave it plugged in. My rule has always been when that thing says it's done charging, that light is turned from red to green, pull the plug. I don't care if it's got auto shut off stuff. Don't trust it. Just pull it. That's your safest thing. Just pull the plug. Don't leave it there, okay? You see it's in green, pull the plug. All right. All right. What happens when an electric bike runs out of power? You don't get to go anywhere. All right, it says, if your e-bike runs out of battery, you can simply continue riding. Well, okay, yeah, you could if you're not too tired. The motor on these e-bikes only assists your pedaling instead of doing all the work, so you can continue riding as usual without pedal assist. This is a good thing to know when trying to figure out what is a reasonable commute on an electric bike. Okay, who answered that? That was from Ride One Up. Yeah, you can keep going as long as you're not tired out, all right? These bikes are heavy, all right? For me, I can probably go about 2 blocks, and I'm so tired out after riding that heavy bike without a battery, I cannot continue up going, okay? Because of my bad knees, bad hips, everything, I can't keep going. So this is why I always carry a second battery if I know I'm going to go some distance, all right? And I've been telling you guys to do the same thing. Spend the money, get a second battery if you need to, okay? Riding that bike without the battery is tough. Oh, okay, here's another thing. Let me bring up another one. Somebody asked me why I'm paying for lawn maintenance service, because on the last video I mentioned that, you know, I ride to pay the bill for the lawn maintenance at the post office. This is why don't you just cut your own grass? You save so much money. It's like buying an e-bike. Well, you might not know, but I had a replaced knee. I have another knee that's not that great, and I have 2 bad hips. So I can't even push a lawnmower. I stopped cutting my grass many years ago simply because the pain was too much to walk up and down, back and forth on the lawn, pushing the lawnmower. It's tougher with the push too. If I was just walking it, that's one thing. Because I do the fertilizer on the grass in the spring, and the pre-emergent stuff to keep the weeds from growing. I do that application myself because it's not a heavy push. Lawnmowers are heavier. The spreaders for the weed maintenance stuff is not as heavy. I can do that because I'm not walking a lot. I'm just walking up and down one time through, and it's fairly quickly because it's, you know, you're not pushing a heavy thing. But if I was pushing a lawnmower, it's kind of tough for me. Yeah, so I had to go to lawn maintenance people to help me simply because my physical things would not allow me to do it. That's why. And yeah, I agree with you. If I save all that money, I could buy another e-bike. But I'll tell you, you know, when you have issues with your knees and your hips, you can't do it. Yeah, sometimes people have limitations, and that's my limitation. So you might wonder, you know, how are you able to ride an e-bike? Well, I got a motor. It's helping me along, and that's why I can't go more than 2 blocks on an e-bike that doesn't have power on it. The bike is too heavy. It's too hard for me to push with my legs and my knees. So there you go. All right, let's answer 1 or 2 more, and then we'll call it a day. Which country buys the most e-bikes? All right, what do you think it would be? All right, some of them you might be saying United States. Nah, you're wrong. Okay. Across the 17 markets, the highest proportion of e-bike owners can be found in China. Yeah, maybe some of you guys got that one. which more than a third of consumers have dipped into the market for a battery-powered bicycle. So that kind of tells you how popular e-bikes are, okay? They're more popular in China, obviously, and a lot of our bikes are made in China, and they're just sent over here, okay? All right, congrats if you got that answer correct. If you guessed the United States, yeah, you're wrong. All right, who's the target audience for electric bikes? Okay, here's a good one. This was back in, this is an old answer, to 2021. It says students were predicted to account for nearly 40% of electric cycle market in India. India, okay. The next major market segment consisted of those office employees who are conscious above their health and consider cycling a good exercise. I don't know about this answer. I don't know about that one. Students? Okay, in India. I don't know about here in the United States. Oh, here's a good one. What is the profit margin on e-bikes? Ooh, okay, let's see. This is February 2023. It says manufacturers can make money from producing and selling e-bikes, but the markups are not as big as they are on some other physical commodities. Even while production expenses only account for about 42% of the purchase price, other factors result in typical 10% net profit on each electric bike sold. So they're saying they only make 10%. I don't know about that. I think they make a little more than that. I don't know. I don't know where some of these answers come from. I mean, where do these people come up with these answers? But no, I don't think so. Well, they do have to pay certain things. Like there are commissions that have to be paid. If you sell the bike through a retail store, they're going to make a certain percentage, right? If an influencer helps them make a sale, they pay the influencer a certain percentage as well. So everything kind of cuts into their profit. So I don't know, maybe 10% is correct, but I don't know. I don't. If I was a manufacturer, I wouldn't want to make a product that I only made 10% on. It's a lot of effort to just make 10%. I would tend to think there might be a higher percentage there. All right, we'll take one final question on the internet here. Is a 500-watt e-bike enough? Well, that's a good question. Okay, is 500 watts enough? This answer comes from January 2023, and it says, most experts believe that investing in a 500-watt e-bike is the best choice since it has a reasonable electric motor, but at the same time, it's not too heavy and it complies with the speed limits. So what they're saying is 500 is enough, and that it will stay within speed limit. Okay, now the thing is, a lot of us like to go even faster, in which case 500 may not be enough. But I will say that 500 watts will maintain your battery longer for more range, okay? Because you're not eating up as much battery on a more powerful motor that requires more power. You see what I'm saying? So you might get more range out of a 500-watt motor if it's conservative and still giving you good power to propel you forward, okay? But again, for speed and for other factors going up hills and things, maybe not enough. So you have to kind of weigh these things before you just generally say, okay, 500 is enough. It depends on what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, okay? For me, I've already said before, going 40 miles an hour is not something I'm really that interested in. I always feel a little nervous even at 28 miles per hour. But for me, the range is more important than the speed. I want more range than speed. So if you said, hey, this bike does 40 miles an hour consistently, okay, whereas your bike only does 28, my next question is, how far can you go? If you say, well, based on your weight, based on all that stuff, you can get 30 miles out of our bike, whereas if my other bike gives me 50 miles, I'd rather have the 50. So you have to kind of look at what's most important to you. Now, if you don't ride distance, you don't go that far, you're just kind of around here, you're just doing it for the fun of it, yeah, then maybe that 40 mile per hour bike might be more fun. All right. So you have to kind of look at what am I looking to do and then buy accordingly. Okay. All right. I think we have enough questions there. Yeah, this was just an easy one to do. I just didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't really want to go out today. Like I said, the streets still look a little wet. I didn't want to go out and do it. So I figured we stay inside, and we'll talk a little bit. Next week, it looks like I didn't see any forecast for rain, but that doesn't mean anything. Sometimes it does happen. And as long as the weather is still decent enough to get outside, we'll head back out. Anyways, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. More riding videos next week. Talk to you guys next time.